So those are some of the things that we're doing here at Midland to address some of these issues. Really what we're trying to do is give the kids an opportunity to learn from their mistakes, to learn the best ways to react and respond when things make them frustrated, when their classmates make them angry. We want to teach and reteach. We want them to grow and develop and become successful, functional adult people with the skills that they need to be successful. Hopefully at this point you're like, okay, but what can we do at home? I have just a couple of suggestions for you. Number one is communicate with the school. We are a team working toward your students' success, both academically and personally and socially. Any successful team has to be unified in order to perform at its highest level. Are there things going on at home that would be helpful for your students, teachers, or administrative staff to know? Please share those things. Send an email, make a phone call, leave a voicemail. Whether your student is a Midland student or a student elsewhere, that if you think there's a chance that that information could be helpful, please share. My second suggestion is to allow your student the space and the time to process their emotions and assist where needed. As we talked about in the previous session, we talked about the teenage brain, and we talked about how teen brains are not fully formed. They don't have the capacity and the skills that we as adults have. So teens are experiencing those emotions strongly and suddenly. They don't know what to do with it. And we don't have to agree with what they're feeling or the level to which they're feeling it to be able to guide them through the process of handling it. Ask your student clarifying questions. Give them time to think on what happened, how they're feeling. Try to stay calm yourself and recognize that most often those outbursts that you are seeing and you're experiencing, they're not directed at you, or at least not solely at you. It's more than likely a buildup. I had a student come into my office hot a couple of years ago, came through the door and was yelling at me, like yelling, very animated and yelling. And I asked him very calmly, like, are you mad at me? And he was thrown by that question. He full stopped and said, he was like, no, I'm not mad at you, but, and then he started yelling again. And I was like, stop. I'm like, are you sure you're not mad at me? And he was like, no, I'm not mad at you. Why do you think I'm mad at you? And I was like, well, you're yelling at me. And he's like, I'm not yelling at you. And you are yelling at me. He didn't even recognize. He was so upset about the situation that had just happened in the hallway with another student. He didn't realize it was coming out at me. So what we did was we sat, and instead of talking about it, he just breathed for a little bit until he had calmed down enough to be able to calmly explain to me what was going on. I'm not perfect at that. That's the best example I have for handling that type of a situation. But to have in the back of your head that a lot of times what's coming out is either related to that video that we saw at the beginning of this, where their hormones are out of control and they are reacting based on the influx of hormones, or whether they are now reacting because of a buildup of other situations. It's not you. Ask those clarifying questions, give them the space and the time to think and how to explain it. Try to stay calm yourself, because ultimately what you're trying to do is encourage a relationship where they are going to be comfortable communicating with you and talking things out with you. It's how you'll stay connected, which is my final tip, and that's to stay involved. As tempting as it can be to allow your teen the space that they are creating when they start pulling away from you during these years, stay connected, stay present, stay involved, and y'all know, absolutely stay active in monitoring that technology use, whether it's putting limits on the times that they have access to it so that they're getting that sleep at night, whether it's having times where they check those devices in and shared passwords so you can see the content that they are sending and receiving. Stay a part of their world, stay where they're at, stay informed. And if you have any questions or suggestions on what we can do or a topic that we can address in these sessions, please get with me. If you're a Midland parent, my contact information is on the Midland website. You can also call the school. If you stumbled on this because somebody suggested it to you, I'll find a way to get my contact information to you as well. What we want is for these nights to be informative. We don't want anybody to feel beat down. We want you to know what's going on in your students' worlds. We want you to know what we're doing to try to combat that here at the school. And we want to know how we can better work together. Because like I said earlier, we're a team, and the teams that are most successful are unified so that they can perform at that highest level. Hope y'all will join us again next time. We'll be back in January. Everybody have a safe holiday.